Hi guys, welcome to Crazy Kalakars Adda, and we are back with our Hatke Gyan. Everyone has played Ludo, especially on mobile in this lockdown. But Ludo is actually a board game. So throughout today's video, we will get to know about the invention of board games in India.
We all are aware about the epic Mahabharata in which the Pandavas betted their own wife Draupadi in a game and they lost it. This loss was so heavy that Draupadi was unrobed in the court. Do you know which was the game which caused Mahabharata war? It's an ancient depiction of Ludo which is known as Pachisti. Ludo is the new form of Pachisti which has its roots in India. Not only in Mahabharata, we also get its depictions in many Indian mythological stories. There are many examples in ancient mythological scriptures like Lord Krishna playing Pachisti with his wife Satyabhama, Lord Venkateshwar Tirupati playing with Hathiram Babaji. There is a story where once Lord Shiva and Parvati were playing Pachisti at Mount Kailasa. Devi said to Shiva that there is no fun playing the game as it is. Let's place some bets. I will bet my bangles and you can bet your Vasuki snake. Lord Shiva agreed and Goddess Parvati won the Vasuki snake, and as soon as she won all the bets, Lord Shiva even lost his lion cloth in the end, on which he sits. In olden days, this game was very famous with the kings and queens, and we get the first connection in the 16th century in the court of Mughal Emperor Akbar. He has made a huge Pachisti board in the court of Fatehpur Sikri, which was the Mughal capital, as he loved this game, and he also used his maids as pawns of his game to play the game grandly.
This game is older than 2000 years and the oldest board game in India. There are 10 different types of Pachisti boards played only in Mysore, so you can imagine the different types in whole of India. Pachisti is even the most diversified board game in the world because this game has 15 to 20 different names such as Pagre, Pachisti, Chaupar, Chausar, Daikatam, Sokatam and Bargis are some of its names. We can just see a little variation in all these games. Like Ludo, even Pachisti was the race game of 4 players. The race to bring all their pawns to the center of the board. But in the 19th century, because of the Mysore king Krishna III, there were alterations in the game. He had 4 wives, so he was unable to play with all the 4 wives at once. Thus, he invented Pachisti where 6 players can play instead of 4. The same way, he also invented Pachisti for 8, 12 and 16 players. He did so that he could please all his wives together. He also invented a new variation of Pachisti board in which he added morality and changed its form completely. Here, there are boxes which depict about what will be your next birth by performing good or bad deeds in your life.
Now let us talk about another exciting board game. Nowadays, we play the game of snakes and ladders for fun, but its roots are in the spirituality of ancient India. This board game was called as Moksha Pattam and was invented in the 13th century by a saint called Gyandev of Maharashtra to teach religion to people. He also named it as Kailasha Pattam. He took inspiration from Jainism and imbibed this game with Hindu moral concepts and spread this game in rural India. In this way, this game became famous in the entire subcontinent. So according to this game, if you reach the last step, that is the 100th step, that means you have reached Kailasha. You will find different squares with bad virtues depicted on them. For an example, there is a square called Sin or Pap, which has a 3-headed snake. If you reach there, you directly come down to a square called Hell or Mahapata. That means if you commit a sin, after death you will reach to hell. Another example is if you reach the square called Ahankar, that is proud, you will come down to Kaul. And if you reach the square called Swargadwar, that is doors to heaven, then you can directly head towards Kailasha. Thus, children were given such lessons through this game.
In 16th century, this game got transformed by Jainism and renamed as Gyanbazi and used it as a medium to teach the ways of life. This is a depiction of the consequences of your daily chores. For an example, If you are a friend of a wise person, then you will yourself become wise. It also acts like stairs for us to climb up. You will do all good things as a wise person and also spread wisdom, which is another ascent which can lead you to Kailash directly. Mokshapattam or snakes and ladders is like a flow chart. If you reach here, then you have to do this. And this principle is very unique in the board game industry. You will find this principle throughout the world of a unique way to jump from one step to another. The billion-dollar board game industry, which is prevalent now, is based on the go-to principle, only like Monopoly or business, which got its idea from snakes and ladders.
Many of you must be thinking that chess was derived from Persian game named Shatranj. But do you know how was Shatranj discovered? Imagine if the game is played between 4 players instead of 2 and attacking the army and forming alliances with neighbors. This becomes the father of chess called Chauturanga. Chauturanga was discovered in India in the 4th century. The modern form of Chauturanga has 2 players played with 16 pawns in a checkboard known as chess. But Chauturanga was played between 4 players and every player had 8 pawns and they could make or break alliances at will. The opposite players used to make alliances and these alliances together used to attack their enemies. Here you have to attack your enemies from the sides, and twist of this game is that it is played by a dice. Thus this strategy game was also a game of luck. This was the base of learning war strategies by the kings through this game.
The political geography of ancient India was very complex. Every 100 kilometers we find a new state with their royalty, and these neighboring states were always at war. And this is what you can see in the board game of Chaturanga. In Chaturanga, there is only one king. There is no minister or queens here. If you score 1, you can use only boat, and if you score 3, you can use your knight. 4, you can use your elephant, and 6, you can use the king or soldier. This game is modified in the form of modern chess, where 2 big armies face each other instead of 4. We don't play this with a dice, but we want to play it as a strategy game and not a luck game.
We all think that these games are invented in India, and with time their form has changed too and are famous worldwide. But do you know, the modified version of Pachisti is played in America as Parcheesi. In UK, Pachisti became Ludo and its modified version is Sorry. The modified version of Chauturanga is Shatranj in Persia, and in China it is known as Yanki, and in Japan it is called Shogi. The modified version of Mokshapattam is known as Snakes and Ladders in Europe. In America it became Shoots and Ladders. Thus these games might be very popular now, but their ancient form and roots are still alive in the hearts of many people which came from India.